Hello and welcome to HitBullsEye. First of all, I wish you a very happy new year. May you achieve all that you have aimed for in this particular year. So my name is Manish, and in this video we will be discussing the current affairs of the very first week of this year, that is the first week of January 2023. And yes, we are starting the year with a lot of good news, not no major tragedy or any such sort of thing happening. So let me walk you through the important events of the first week of this year. First of all, Mr. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Mr. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has become the new president of Brazil. We will see why he's so famous and what has he done that that he's gathering the world attention. Otherwise, it's just another country and just a new president. So we will see why he's generating a lot of buzz. Next, a very I would say it's an unfortunate news, but the first person ever to lose $200 billion. The first billionaire or the first trillionaire, that could be a good question, but the person to lose $200 billion. A few weeks back, we discussed the first company in the world to lose $1 trillion in market capitalization, and that was Amazon, headed by Mr. Jeff Bezos. But here we have a different personality, although a very renowned one, and we will see who that person is who has lost $200 billion. Of course, he should have $200 billion to lose it. So, one of the richest people in the world. We will take a look at who that person is. Supreme Court of India has upheld demonetization process. In 2016, on 8th of November, Government of India demonetized 500 and 1000 rupee notes. And that exercise was challenged in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court by a 4:1 majority has upheld the process followed for demonetization. Whether the impact was good or bad, that the Supreme Court has not delved into, but whether the procedure was followed or not, that is what the Supreme Court has upheld, that it was a it was all right, and the entire process was followed. Next, the World Braille Day 2023. So Braille is the script for the visually impaired, and this day is celebrated on the 4th of January. We will see why this day is celebrated on 4th of January and what is the significance. Next, Samvidhan Udyan in Jaipur. Samvidhan Udyan is basically a sort of a museum of the Constitution of India, or it shows the process of the constitution making, which went on for around 3 years. And this has been inaugurated by none other than the President of India in Jaipur. This we will have a look at. Next, world's largest or world's longest river cruise. The key word here is river cruise. Otherwise, there are thousands of cruises in the world. This is the world's longest river cruise, and it is in India. So we will see where it is going to be launched. Next, world's first palm leaf manuscript museum. So when we look at the ancient history or medieval history, we find a lot of manuscripts that have been written on dried palm leaves, and they have survived hundreds of years, or in some cases even thousands of years of human evolution. So for those manuscripts, there is now a dedicated museum, and this again is in India. We will see in which state and in which city this museum has been set up. Then the quintessential English teacher of the Indian population, Mr. Shashi Tharoor, has launched his latest book. He is quite a reader as well as a writer, a very proclaimed writer he is, and he has written another book. We will see what is the subject of that book and the importance of it. The first ever Formula E. Now everybody talks about Formula One championships. This is Formula E. We will see what does it mean and where is it going to be held. Again, in India. So India taking a lot of strides in the world first as well as first in India. And finally, Zari Bridge opens in Goa. Again, It has a certain significance. We will see what the significance of this bridge is. Let's get started one by one. This man here is Mr. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. He has become the president of Brazil. He has become the president of Brazil, Mr. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, and he has ousted Jair Bolsonaro. Jair Bolsonaro, right? Now, why is he making news? So, there are so many presidents, prime ministers who change every year. But why this person has created news? There are two reasons for that. Number one, he was also the Brazil's president from 2003 to 2010. So he is a well-known personality. In the global sphere of leadership, he is a well-known personality. The reason for that is that when he was the president during this tenure, two terms basically of 4 years each, when he was the president, he launched a social security program known as Bolsa Familia. Bolsa Familia. And in this, under this particular program, he was able to lift millions of people of Brazil out of poverty. So it is considered to be one of the best programs in the world as far as socio-economic empowerment of the poor is concerned. And so many world leaders have praised the Bolsa Familia program, including the then US President, Mr. Barack Obama. That is one reason why him becoming a president once again has generated a lot of buzz. Second reason is that his election is largely being seen as the overall or the larger picture where the left wing politics is at odds with the right wing politics. So he is basically a leftist. Now, leftism, rightism, without going too much into detail, basically means left wing is basically concerned with welfare and state control of resources and equality and things like that. Right wing, on the other hand, puts more emphasis on privatization or maybe the feeling of nationhood or unity. Basically, both are good in their own right, but the extremes of both of them are bad. As we have seen in the cases of in left wing, maybe China and Soviet Union, and maybe North Korea. In case of right wing, maybe the overtly capitalist countries or overtly countries where there is a hyper nationalism, that kind of a feeling. So both the extremes are right, are of course wrong, but the ousted president Jair Bolsonaro was a right winger, and Mr. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is a left winger. So broadly, it is seen as a fight between the left and the right, where another leftist leader has won. Although there is no such trend in some countries, even rightist leaders have won, but that is one reason why it has created so much of buzz. Second, yes, Kanishk, your answer is right. Elon Musk. Elon Musk has become the person to lose $200 billion. $200 billion. It's a huge sum. So he's the CEO of Twitter, Tesla, and SpaceX. And the reason that he has lost this money is not only that the way he is handling his companies, but also because of the overall larger picture where so many tech companies are losing a lot of money, right? So his Tesla shares have dropped in value. They are down nearly 65%. The Tesla shares are down 65%, thereby wiping out hundreds of crores of rupees, hundreds of uh, billions of dollars out of his entire basket of assets. There are no big assets left after a decline in Tesla shares and the purchase of Twitter of a whopping $44 billion. So he has acquired Twitter, spent a lot of money on that, and now his share prices of the other companies are also falling. For that reason, he has lost $200 billion. Earlier, we discussed the news where Amazon became the first company in the history of the world to lose $1 trillion. in market capitalization. First ever company in the history to do that. But I doubt it will be the last, because there are so many other companies which are feeling the heat. You know, like today it was the news that Apple, which crossed $3 trillion of market cap last year, 1 year from now, 1 year back, it is again going to touch $2 trillion. So first it hit $3 trillion, now it is going to hit 2 trillion. The moment it does that, it might become the second company after Amazon to lose $1 trillion in market cap. So that is happening because so many tech companies, their share prices are being revised. There was a bubble that was created that is being busted. So many reasons are there. Next is the Supreme Court's judgment on demonetization. So on 8th of November 2016, the RBI and the Government of India declared 500 and 1000 rupee notes as not legal tenders anymore. So the decision has come on that. Now please try to understand, the judgment upholds the process followed for demonetization. This judgment is not a value judgment on whether demonetization was good or bad, or whether demonetization fulfilled its purpose or not. That is a policy domain in which judiciary generally does not chart. Right? Judiciary stays away, and that is how the doctrine of division of powers work. But what the judiciary has pronounced is whether the legally laid down procedure for any such exercise was followed or not. So according to the Supreme Court majority judgment, the decision about executive policy was valid. That means, now what does the law say that has been upheld? The law says that it is RBI which has to take the decision whether to demonetize or not to demonetize any currency note. So that is the first point, whether it is RBI which has to decide that. Secondly, it has to be done in consultation with the Government of India. Right? Now the point was, many petitioners contested that it was actually the Government of India which did all this without active consideration or without active consultation with the RBI. So after putting all the evidence on record and examining all the witnesses, the Supreme Court bench has come to a conclusion that there was indeed a 6-month long process of consultation between RBI and the government, and only after that the decision has been taken. So 6 months long is a fairly good amount of time to decide any such policy matter, and that is why the Supreme Court has upheld this exercise, the process followed for this exercise. There was one judge, Justice B.V. Nagaratna, the only woman judge on the bench. She has dissented. Now, what is the point that she has taken up? Why she considers the process followed for demonetization as illegal? She said that to do any such thing, the government should have passed a law. It had to be statutory. Or if not law, it should have been done through a resolution. Or it should have been done through an ordinance. An ordinance can be passed by the parliament when either of the two houses is not in session, either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. And in this case, an ordinance could have been passed by the parliament, and then it would have been like her contention is also on the procedure, not on the intention. So one thing that all the 5 judges were clear about was that the intention of the government cannot be doubted. The intention of the RBI cannot be doubted. It's just that whether proper procedure was followed or not. So she has dissented and said that an ordinance should have been passed, and that is her only contention. Right? So there is no legal or constitutional flaw. The decision passes the test of proportionality. Now, what is that? The judgment says there was consultation between center and RBI for 6 months. That is one, which indicates a reasonable nexus between the measures undertaken and the objects sought to be achieved. Now, what was the object sought to be achieved? To unearth black money from the Indian economic system. So, according to the court, the objective which was sought to be achieved, that is the unearthing of black money, and the measures undertaken, that is demonetization, there is a reasonable nexus between the two. Whether the result was able to be achieved or not is a different ball game. And the notification passes the test or doctrine of proportionality. This is what the Supreme Court has said, thereby putting to rest all the controversy and all the long gone debates for the last 6 years over whether demonetization was, whether demonetization was good or bad. The jury is still out on that. Anyone can have their opinion. On that, the Supreme Court judgment has not said anything. Whether demonetization was able to achieve its target or not, that book is still open and will always remain open because it's a policy decision, and whether it kept its word or not, only time can tell. And now only looking in the hindsight we can say whether it was a good decision or bad. But at that time, if it was done according to the legal procedure and the intention was right, then the result could be anything. Supreme Court has just delved into the procedure followed for demonetization, and it has found no fault in that, and thereby the government has been exonerated. Next comes your World Braille Day. So World Braille Day is celebrated on the 4th of January. So this, as you can see over here, is the Braille language. There are a set of 6 dots at the maximum, you know, and each of these dots has a different combination of, each of these alphabets of English has a different combination of dots. So the visually impaired people, they can just feel this on a piece of paper. So it is basically a tactile representation of alphabets and numerical symbols. They can, punch it and they can feel it, and that is a way for them to read something. So on 4th of January, celebrate this Braille Day for the partially sighted and the visually impaired. The UN declared this day in 2019. So from 2019, we are celebrating the World Braille Day in the memory of Louis Braille, whose birthday was on 4th of January 1809. And of course, if named after Louis Braille, that means he invented this technique for the visually impaired. And that's why his birthday has been declared as the World Braille Day. He was a French educator. This is a tactile representation, and even musical, mathematical, and scientific symbols have now been devised for the visually impaired. So this is a boon for the visually impaired. Now, whether all the material is accessible in Braille or not is another, is another battle to fight. But there is a medium through which more and more material can be made available for the visually impaired. I've seen a newspaper in Braille, but such kind of initiatives are very rare. So we need more and more books in Braille so that the visually impaired can take the advantage of that. Next is Samvidhan Udyan in Jaipur. Samvidhan Udyan. Samvidhan Udyan is a sort of a gallery or a sort of a museum where the description of the historical journey of 3 years of constitution making have been displayed. Now, the constitution started its assembly on 9th of December 1946. The first meeting of the Constituent Assembly of India was held on 9th December 1946, about 8 months before India got independence. And the constitution was ready on the 26th of November 1949. Effectively, almost 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days, roughly a 3-year period that the Constituent Assembly took to write the Indian Constitution. So, this Udyan or this museum or this gallery displays the entire procedure. So, it has been inaugurated by President of India Draupadi Murmu, and it has been inaugurated in Jaipur. So on this occasion, the Governor of Rajasthan, President Draupadi Murmu, and the Chief Minister of Rajasthan, Mr. Ashok Gehlot, were present. Right? Next, the world's longest river cruise. World's longest river cruise. So this here is the world's longest river cruise. It's not about the boat, it's about the distance the boat covers or the cruise covers in a river. That is what makes it all the more important. It's not a ocean cruise, it's a river cruise. And it has started in India, Ganga Vilas. So the name itself gives it away. If the name is Ganga Vilas, that means the cruise is in Ganga River. So from where does it start? It starts from Uttar Pradesh near Varanasi and goes all the way up to Dibrugarh in Assam. So from Uttar Pradesh it starts, goes all the way to Bihar, West Bengal, and then to Assam. That is the path it follows. And in that path, it also passes through Bangladesh. So two rivers it covers, Ganga and Brahmaputra, because Ganga does not flow in Assam. So Ganga, then it goes to Bangladesh, and then from there it traverses to Brahmaputra and then goes all the way up to Assam. So from Uttar Pradesh to Dibrugarh or from Varanasi to Dibrugarh. On its way, there are stops at 50 significant architectural locations, including national parks, World Heritage Sites, and other sightseeing worthy destinations, including World Heritage Sites. And it travels through rivers of India and Bangladesh. First of this kind of initiative in India. The Sundarbans Delta and Kaziranga National Park are two of the national parks and wildlife sanctuaries on the way. So this is a unique initiative. This cruise tells us that the inland waterway project of India is actually bearing some fruits, because we have never put focus on waterways for the purpose of recreation or maybe for transportation, which is a really cheap way of transporting goods from one place to another or for transporting people from one place to another. So this is the first such attempt and world's longest river cruise it is. World's first palm leaf manuscript museum. Palm leaf manuscript. It is in Kerala, in Thiruvananthapuram. Yes, the capital of Kerala, Thiruvananthapuram, is going to be the first city or going to be the city where world's first palm leaf manuscript museum has been opened by Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan. It is set up by the Archives Department in association with Kerala Museum of History and Heritage. It is a repository of curious nuggets of administrative, socio-cultural, and economic facets of the Travancore Kingdom. Travancore Kingdom, which lasted for 650 years till the end of 19th century. It has been the Central Vernacular Records Office before becoming a museum. That means in this particular manuscript museum, you will find almost 700 years of manuscripts from the Travancore Kingdom, almost from the 13th century AD till the 19th century AD. The Travancore Kingdom, which of course occupied the area where we have the state of Kerala today. Next, we have this book written by Mr. Shashi Tharoor. The name of the book is Ambedkar A Life. So the subject of the book is Mr. B.R. Ambedkar, the father of the Indian Constitution. So Mr. Shashi Tharoor, book's name Ambedkar A Life, and his life has been traced basically. It's a sort of a biography. I don't know what new he must have done in this book, because there are so many books that have already been written on Mr. Ambedkar. But of course, complementing the writing style of Mr. Shashi Tharoor, of course, something new, something novel, or maybe some connections of Mr. Ambedkar's philosophy with the present and how it can be relevant for the future generations must have been used in this book. He traces the arc of the great man's life from his birth to his death. So basically, it's a sort of a biography, but it has been presented in a totally different form, maybe taking a leaf out of various lessons that you can learn from his life and how you can apply in the current context. Ambedkar, right. Then the first ever Formula E championship, not a Formula E championship. In everything we are putting E now. E means maybe electronic. Here it is electric. So electric race it is, with the same kind of cars which we use in Formula One, except that they run on electric, energy. They are EVs, electric vehicles. So the first ever FIA Formula World E Championship race in India. So Formula E Championship for the first time is happening in India. And where? Hyderabad, 11th of February onwards. Right? The world's fastest, lightest, most powerful, and most efficient electric car right now is the Gen 3. Gen 3, and it is going to be there on the event. Ace Next Gen is the official promoter of this race. So this is doing two things basically, this race. Number one, it is promoting this kind of sports in India, which is a new, and second is it's an electric vehicle which promotes electric energy. So this is the pass to that particular event on Book My Show. So tickets have been open. So it shows the sponsor is Next Gen, and it shows the car which is exactly a Formula One kind of car, but it is an electric vehicle. That is a welcome change, two in one, benefit of this kind of racing, promoting a sport as well as promoting a technology. Then we have the Zari Bridge. So this is the bridge that has been opened in Goa. Now you might think, then what's so important about a bridge? It's like just another bridge, but it is not. It has been inaugurated by Union Minister of Road Transport and Highways, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, and it is India's second longest cable-stayed bridge. It's a cable-stayed bridge. If you can see, these are the cables. So it's a cable-stayed bridge. That is what makes it important, and it connects North Goa and South Goa. That is all for this week. So many firsts in the first week of 2023, and we can just hope that this year will be filled with a lot many positive news rather than the negative ones, and that whichever exam you're preparing for, you will come out with flying colors in those exams. That is all. This is me, Manish Mittal, signing off.